Unit 1. My Teacher. Reading. This is an extract from The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. When Helen Keller was 2 years old, she was struck by an illness that left her visually and hearing impaired. For the next 5 years, she lived in a world of darkness and silence. Her life changed the day Miss Anne Sullivan became her teacher and companion. Miss Sullivan's kindness, patience, and skill as a teacher for the visually impaired helped Helen a lot. The most important day I remember in my life is the one on which my teacher, Annie Mansfield Sullivan, came to me. I'm filled with wonder when I think of the completely different lives we both lived and how we got connected. It was the 3rd of March, 1887, 3 months before I was 7 years old. On the afternoon of the eventful day, I stood on the porch, dumb and expectant. I guessed vaguely from my mother's sign and from the hurrying and to and fro in the house that something unusual was about to happen. So I went to the door and waited on the steps. The afternoon sun penetrated the mass of honeysuckle that covered the porch and fell on my upturned face. My fingers moved slowly on the familiar leaves and blossoms, which had just come forth to greet the spring. I had been angry and bitter for many weeks, and I did not know what the future held for me. Have you ever been at sea in a dense fog? When it seems as if a thick white darkness shouts you in, and the great ship, tense and anxious, gropes her way towards the shore, and you, with a beating heart, wait for something to happen. I was like that ship before that education began. Only I was without compass and had no way of knowing how near the harbor was. Light, give me light, was the wordless cry of my soul, and the light of love shone on me in that very hour. I felt approaching footsteps. I stretched out my hand, as I supposed to my mother. Someone took it, and I caught up and held close in the arm of her, who had come to reveal all the things to me, and, more than all things else, to love me. The morning after my teacher came, she led me into her room, and gave me a doll. After I had played with it a little while, Miss Sullivan slowly spelled into my hand the word doll. Unit 1. I was at once interested in this finger play and tried to imitate it. When I succeeded in making the letters correctly, I was flushed with childish pleasure and pride. Running downstairs to my mother, I held up my hand and made the letters for doll. I did not know that I was spelling a word or even that word existed. I was simply making my fingers go in monkey like imitation. In the days that followed, I learned to spell a great many words, among them pin, hat, cup, and a few verbs like sit, stand, and walk. However, my teacher had been with me several weeks before I understood that everything has a name. One day, while I was playing with the new doll, Miss Sullivan put my big rag doll into my lap also, spelled doll, and tried to make me understand that doll applied to both. Earlier in the day, we had a tussle over the words mug and water. Miss Sullivan had tried to impress upon me that mug is mug and water is water, but I continued to confuse the two. In despair, she dropped the subject for a while, only to bring it up again later. I became impatient at her repeated attempts, and, seizing the new doll, I threw it on the floor. I was both happy and curious when I felt the fragments of the broken doll at my feet. Neither sorrow nor regret followed my passionate outburst. I had not loved the doll. In this still, dark world in which I lived, there were not strong feelings of tenderness. I felt my teacher sweep the fragments to one side of the room, and I had a sense of satisfaction that the cause of my discomfort was removed. She brought me my hat, and I knew I was going out in the warm sunshine. This thought made me hop and skip with pleasure. I was at once interested. We walked down the path to the well house, attracted by the fragrance of the honeysuckle with which it was covered. Someone was drawing water, and my teacher placed my hand under the spout. As the cool stream gushed over one hand, she spelled into the other word water, first slowly, then rapidly. I stood still, my whole attention fixed upon the motions of her fingers. Suddenly I felt that I had remembered something that I had forgotten. Somehow the mystery of language was revealed to me. I knew that water meant the wonderful cool something that was flowing over my hand. That living world awakened my soul, gave it light, hope, joy, and set it free. There were barriers still, it is true, but barriers that could in time be swept away. I left the well house eager to learn. Everything had a name, and each name gave birth to a new thought. As we returned to the house, every object which I touched seemed to come alive. That was because I saw everything with a strange, new sight that had come to me. On entering the door, I remembered the doll I had broken. I felt my way round and picked up the pieces. I tried to put them together, but I failed. Then my eyes filled with tears because I realized what I had done, and for the first time I felt repentance and sorrow. I learnt a great many new words that day. I do not remember what they all were, but I do know that mother, father, sister, teacher were among them. Words that were meant to light up my world and make it come alive. It would have been difficult to find a happier child than I was, as I lay in my bed at the close of that eventful day, and relieved the joys it had brought me, and for the first time longed for a new day to come.